Hi there, welcome to Grain TV. It's Friday, June 30th, and a day to the upside. Grains were up thanks to USDA's crop report. Corn was up 10, beans up 28, and Chicago wheat up 30, and Minneapolis up 35. Let's get right into the USDA data. Let's start first of all with the most negative of the reports, and that was the stocks report. Corn came in higher than expected, wheat came in higher than expected, so that probably spells more carry out into the new crop balance sheet. In particular, corn came in at 5.2 million bushels off or higher than 5.12. So basically, you know, we think feed use is probably going to have to go down in the old crop balance sheet from USDA. The good news on the stocks number was a lighter than expected soybean number coming in at 0.96 billion bushels versus 0.98 billion bushels. But the real fireworks, I think, was really ignited by the acreage numbers. These came in as a total surprise to the trade. First of all, the most bullish of these was the situation in the wheat market, where we have seen obviously the spring wheat market get excited because of the dryness in that North Dakota, eastern Montana region, and we saw acreage in spring wheat really come in much lower than expected, and that pushed wheat acres down as well. And so overall, wheat plantings were only 45.6 million acres versus 46.1, and again, most of that driven by the situation in spring wheat and durum acres in the northern plains. Conversely, the trade was also surprised by what happened in corn and soybeans. Overall, the trade had been leaning towards higher soybean acres, lower corn acres, but they got the exact opposite. They got corn acres going up to 90.9 million acres. That's up from 90.0 from the March report, and well above the 89.9 that the trade was expecting. And likewise, we saw soybean acres actually drift a little bit lower, converse to what people were expecting, which was a higher soybean number. Now, the interesting thing to note about these corn and soybean acre numbers, that big changes between the March and June report were recorded in North Dakota. North Dakota corn plantings were 400,000 acres higher for corn than March, and soybean plantings were 300,000 higher compared to March. So that obviously, or those acres are obviously not acres that are going to be productive this year, given the exceptional dry conditions that we are seeing in the North Dakota area. So that, while on the face of things is bearish for corn, you know, certainly the dryness in the plains, and if we saw, you know, these acreage shifts like USDA suggested, where we had a big jump in corn acres in the northern plains, then that would certainly spell problems for yield potential down the road. Overall, the market really took this to the upside, especially for wheat and soybeans. Corn was sort of along for the ride. Corn had 8 cent gains going into this report. They faded to about a 2 or 3 cent advance after these initial numbers were released, but by the close managed to recover to a 10-cent advance, closing at the high on the day. But again, the real action was in the bean market, where we saw really a catapult higher on this news because the trade was caught off guard from this number, and so we saw, you know, really a move back into that 950 range. And the positive news about it was that we were able to close above 950, closing around 952 on the last print here for the day. So it's going to be interesting to see where we come back. You know, starting on Monday, we'll have a brief trade. Monday, shortened by the holiday for July 4th on Tuesday. So the weather forecast going into the weekend for next week looks to be continued hot and dryness in the northern plains. We're seeing 100 readings expected on July 4th in North Dakota. So that will certainly get the trade's attention, and will we see that sort of stretch into more traditional corn growing areas in Nebraska and Iowa as well. So stay tuned for that on Monday. Have a great weekend. We will see you next week.